Let me just take you through with the education system in Nigeria. With the introduction of the 6-3-3-4 system of education in Nigeria, the recipient of the education should spend 6 years in primary school, 3 years in junior secondary school, 3 years in senior secondary school, and 4 years in tertiary institution. The 6 years spent in primary school and the 3 years spent in junior secondary school were merged to form the 9-3-4 system, unlike the Kenyan system, which goes for 8-4-4. Further, I'll take you through the unfortunate incident in our education system, which occurred in the year 2014, whereby in the night of 14th to 15th April 2014, 276 female students were kidnapped from the government secondary school in the town of Chibok in Borno State. Responsibility for the kidnappings was claimed on Boko Haram. At the moment, we do have 219 students still being held by the insurgent groups, 58 having escaped or been rescued. Fast forward to 29 May 2015, the Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari, in his inaugural address to the nation, said that he could not claim to have defeated Boko Haram without rescuing Chibok girls and all other innocent persons held hostage by the insurgents. It is in the same breath that our counterparts in Kenya faced a similar unfortunate attack on the 4th April 2015. Incidentally, both unfortunate attacks took in the month of April at Garissa University, whereby 147 students were killed by the group Al-Shabaab. Similarly, Kenyan professors and lecturers can offer their lectures at our Nigerian universities. Thirdly, curriculum developers from Kenya can help our Nigerian educators to enhance the education system. Security experts and analysts, disaster management, negotiators from the Kenyan can come to train our students and help incorporate the courses in our universities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister for Education from Nigeria. Just briefly, the Minister for Kenya on Education kindly just respond to the offers that the Minister has made.
Indeed, thank you very much. We recognize that security in our schools is really important. We faced the same ordeal as we faced. And our Minister for Interior, in coordination with the ministry, coordinated a good approach to which we feel it's workable, and we can share this with you. In terms of the exchange program, we're planning to enhance the number from the current 30% to 50%. The same, I would believe, would be well appreciated from your end. And concerning the student subsidies, we can review this and arrive on a good number. However, we can waive it for the next intakes. Yeah, thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you very much. I now invite the Minister for Immigration and Refugee Affairs to make her proposals, and please be brief.
A very good morning to you. Thank you very much. First of all, I would want to respond to the Minister of Foreign Affairs from Nigeria. You requested for the work permits for mostly your investors or even the immigrants. And of course, my ministry is going to fast track on ensuring that mostly the legitimate investors and also immigrants who will be coming to my country, that they have those work visas, the work permits rather, and also their visas are quickly processed on this issue. Now, on the other thing, education, I discovered that we have so many students who are traveling in either of those two countries, our Kenyan students, and also they're coming to your country, as well as your students from Nigeria, they're also coming to study from Kenya. To Kenya. What I'm planning to do is I'm going to also try and make a request to my counterpart here from migration from Nigeria that we need to work on probably like coming up with an integrated system which is going to be able to capture the data for the students, and also we need to have that one incorporated with the learning institutions in both countries so that at least we can be able to track these students. Because what we've discovered is some of the students, once they are done with their studies, they don't leave the country. So they end up getting deported, and those cases are the ones that we can try to curb, at least by trying to see how, and the number of students that are in the country, and how we can assist them even after the studies. So that is why we need to come up with that integrated system to be able to capture that, and also to simplify the process of acquiring the student passes or the visas for them. On the other issue, I would want to respond also to there was a question that came about securing our borders, the internal ministers, both countries. So what we are thinking in my ministry is to devise some strategies to deal with, of course, illegal immigrants, because there are so many, and the terrorists, of course, because that is the easiest way to enter the country. So we are working on that through proper registration from the point of entry, and and we will ensure that we have proper registration done. So then I'm just going to I'm going to make a proposal to my counterpart here on the e-visa system. Already my country has an e-visa system, so I would also want to make that proposal so that you can also adopt the same in your country, and we can be able to fast track in terms of that. Then corroborating the possibility of course, securing the borders. For me, that would be the main, or those would be my main proposals. Thank you very much.
Minister, please just go ahead.
Thank you, Waziri. I'm Nyamaji Josephat, the Minister of Migration and the Refugees. First of all, let me respond to the question by the Minister of Foreign Affairs. You requested about working permits for the refugees. As we understand jobs in our continent, more particularly in Kenya and Nigeria, it's a big challenge. But we look upon that and we see what we can do for those who have legitimate documents for the same. On the same note, let me respond to the question from my co-minister about the documents, registration of students in our country. In my ministry, we are working around the clock, fast tracking the mode of registration for the students, and it's a very open system. What we are called upon is when students are making applications for studies in our country, it's an easy system, and it's a very easy system in which we can able to help them, which would take only 2 days for them to get the documents for studies. On the e-system, our ministry is already working on the same, and we have given a period of 3 months. Everything will be working, and we work, since this is the ministry which coordinates between the two countries. My ministry as a country, I'm requesting the ministry of my co-minister, is about diplomatic permits or diplomatic passports. So we can work, we can see on how the two countries, we can achieve the goals in terms of trade and other things as we look forward for the best interests of our country. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I don't want to give the minister a chance to respond, not because there's nothing to respond to, but because we are constrained by time. I want at this juncture to welcome the Minister for Transport and Communication, Kenyan delegation, Velda Kimawach. Briefly, please.
I would like to address on two issues regarding our relationship, Kenya and Nigeria. So far, we have enjoyed the relationship that has proved to be so fruitful in the context of capacity building in Africa, and as in Africa as a continent. And currently, Kenya is an open market with an appetite to traverse borders in search of partnership in development. And Nigeria comes at the top of agenda as Kenya, whereby we desire to establish and strengthen our cordial relationship with you. It is therefore paramount. It is paramount to mention that our airline, Kenya Airways, it continues to offer excellent services with a touch of international standards to the benefit of both Kenya and Nigeria. With the foregoing, we wish to expand our market base to cover a wider geographical area and also to accommodate the number of your citizens interested in going around the globe. We therefore indulge your government for a possible consideration that we increase our airlines to cover the unreached towns in your country. And secondly, when we look at ICT, currently Kenya is gloating in the glory of being a leader in ICT sector with, after recording impressive achievements and innovations that have been outstanding internationally. And when we look at Nigeria, our studies and even practically, Nigeria, in terms of ICT, Nigeria is not where it's supposed to be. And it is our wish that given our comparative advantage, we would like to partner with you in order to develop your ICT sector through training programs and transfer of technology to your country. We appreciate your support this far. Thank you.
Thank you. The Nigerian counterpart, please, briefly.
Thank you, my counterpart from Kenya on transport and communication. I would like to say that we would like to partner with you so much in those areas of transport and communication. But we would also like that our proposals, you accept them, so that it can be a fair game, that whatever we give you, you also give to us. It's true that Kenya's ICT sector is, Nigeria's ICT sector is not so much developed as yours, considering that we don't have local manufacturing companies of things like cables for infrastructure connection, for broadband connection. So we would like to ask you Kenyans to come and invest in our country. If you have companies, local companies that could invest in Nigeria on cable infrastructure, you could benefit so much, because currently we are in the business of importing these things, which is so expensive for us, considering that the freighting costs, long delivery period. So we believe that if Kenya could set up cable manufacturing companies in Nigeria, you could really benefit from that. On the issue of airline, we would really like to enable you to expand your flights into our country, into our various towns into our country. But on the same note, we realize that your industry is facing challenges. KQ is under so many debts, and I think we would collaborate with you in, like, let us help you solve your debts, and you can increase your flights into our country. It was noting for you that Nigeria has reinsurance companies that are capable of handling your insurance issues in the country. So we're saying that Nigeria is a major aircraft using reinsurance company aimed at cushioning the Africa airline sector. So this provides leverage and favorable access to new equipment for African airlines. We're asking you that as Kenya, as KQ, because you have so many debts, you could leverage on our insurance companies to help spread the insurance risks that you are facing and save your insurance sector, your airline sector, so that you can be able to access our towns more efficiently. Finally, I would also close by saying that if you would give me that opportunity, that one of my companies in Nigeria called Quits Aviation has a partnership with Executive Jet from the US, that wants to set up a manufacturing, a service center for it just in the country. If you could give me that, then we could work together and increase your freight into our country. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Without further ado, may I welcome the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Nigeria, to give our closing remarks. Thereafter, I am going to pass a procedural motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'd like to express my gratitude to the Kenyan delegation. Thank you for hosting us, and we look forward to improved bilateral ties. From the foregoing discussion, we realize that there are various sectors of interest, notably trade and commerce, environment, internal security, energy, immigration, and refugee affairs. We'll be meeting with our various technical teams at ministerial levels to ensure that we come up with concrete documentation on the various agreements as we forge forward towards better bilateral ties. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would want to say that we are adjourning this meeting because later we are going to issue a joint communique during the press briefing. So that's the time we close the debate once we have issued the communique. At this juncture, I want to thank every one of you for the issues and also specifically thank the Nigerian delegation for the offers that they have given to us. And we look forward to strengthening the ties between the two countries. Thank you, and most feel welcome to this country once more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, delegates from Kenya and Nigeria. I wish not to make any remarks on your participation, but I want to recognize and to welcome the Director of the Institute of Diplomacy and International Studies. You know, there are not many with titles like her. She has many titles. Ambassador Professor Maria Nzomo. I would like her to probably say a few remarks.
I know here you are all delegates and ministers and so on. And I'm going to ask your permission to break protocol and just address you as my very, very distinguished and able students of the Institute of Diplomacy. Good morning. I can use all those titles you have and roll them out, but to allow me to say what I need to say, please let me just address you as all my students. Now, the reason I have stood is not to make remarks as such, is because I would want to take this moment to actually introduce you and recognize our guest of honor today, who has honored us today to be here and to grace this occasion. And really, for us, it's an honor and a privilege, especially for the two delegations from Kenya and Nigeria, because this is someone who, in real life, not in simulation, actually does what you are trying to do here. And you could not have had a better guest for this purpose. And so instead of, for us here, beginning to make all manner of comments, we'll do that later after you are through with this morning's session. What I would like to do is not just to introduce him to you, but to allow him to make some remarks that he would like to make, and I'm sure you would all be interested. And because also he has some other engagements, you'll allow him to leave at his pleasure after he has spoken to us. And I hope that is in order, Chairman of the two delegations. Now, before I introduce him, let me say that this audience you see here, our students who take degree courses in diplomacy, and that's one degree, and another degree program we call simply international studies. It is the mother degree program for the institute. Now, these are the two disciplines that are closely related to matters of diplomacy. And so what you are seeing here this morning is really a simulation of what they have learned. Some are in their final semester, others are in their first semester, but you wouldn't tell the difference when they are here, which tells you they are very competent and very able to articulate these issues. But also they are learning, which is why you help them see where they can improve as they go along. Now, as they are here, what we try to do is, at the end of this exercise, we assess their performance. We rate them, because that's the only way they can know where they really rank, because this is a part of learning. And some of them are going to be diplomats like yourself, and so they will need to learn now how to apply the theory to the practice. And that's what we are trying to do in this session. We do this every year. Once a year, we have this session especially for the students who are completing their studies or near completion. And we make sure no student leaves this institute without having gone through this session, because it's very, very crucial. Because, as you know, negotiations don't only take place in diplomatic circles. They are what is going on, because some of you think it's confined only to foreign affairs. WTO is having its negotiations, and there is a lot of diplomacy that is being employed there. So these things occur in many forums, not just in matters of foreign affairs. But, of course, foreign affairs is the core in terms of the organizing place for these kinds of discussions. So, without further ado, let me introduce our chief guest, who is with us this morning. His name is Minister Joseph Okoro. He is minister because at the Nigerian High Commission, he holds the position of minister. You, as students of diplomacy, should know those rankings, so I'm not going to belabor that. Specifically in charge of matters of bilateral. So he's in charge of the bilateral section within the Nigerian High Commission here in Nairobi. He has a very distinguished history as a diplomat, very seasoned diplomat. He has served in quite a number of countries around the world. He has served in Belgium, in Liberia, in Congo, Brazzaville, in Addis Ababa, and of course here in our city, Nairobi. When he's not serving as in the various diplomatic missions, of course he is stationed at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Nigeria, of course, which you know is headquartered in Abuja. The position he holds there is the director of one of directors within the ministry. As you know, even there are also hierarchies. Director is quite a senior position within the ministry. Of course, in terms of training, he has quite a lot of training. And one of the areas that he has received training within the Nigerian Foreign Service Academy is where he's been trained as a diplomat. They have a place where they train diplomats within Nigeria. Simply put, compare it to our Foreign Service Institute and another institute of similar kind. But this is an academy where you get out of there with a diploma. It means you are ready to serve in many capacities. So I could say more, but this suffices to help me ask you all to welcome our guest to speak to us. Can we welcome him? If you want to use, yeah, you can sit if it makes you more comfortable. You don't have to stand.
Ambassador Professor Maria Ozomo, the Director, Institute of Diplomacy and International Studies, Mr. Gerishin Ikiara, Associate Director, I hope I didn't damage your name, the lecturers coordinating the simulation exercise, members of the Nigerian delegation and the Kenyan delegation, distinguished students, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me thank the Institute for inviting the Nigerian High Commission to this special location. I want to start my remarks by congratulating the two delegations. They did a very wonderful job. It looked so real. In fact, at the time, I was even seeing Minister of Foreign Affairs in our minister there. Yeah. So I will not be surprised if in future she becomes the Kenyan Foreign Affairs Minister. It's a prophecy. You should accept it in Jesus' name. Now, I want to say that the issues that they talked about and the issues they tackled are the same issues we tackled in real life. And I would like to highlight just some of them as they had correctly articulated here. Issues about trade, immigration, security and defense, tourism, agriculture, oil and gas, arts and culture as in Nigerian Nollywood and all that. I think mine here is to try and put everything in perspective, try and, if you like, now make it real. Now, I will say straight away that Nigeria and Kenya will enjoy very warm, cordial relations spanning several years since independence. As you are all aware, the two countries, were former British colonies. And since they emerged after independence, both countries are now leaders in their respective regions. Nigeria in West Africa, Kenya in East Africa. Nigeria and Kenya established diplomatic relations in 1963 after the independence of your country. And relations between us since then had grown from strength to strength, and particularly, especially under President Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, bilaterally, which is my area, bilaterally, both countries have found common grounds of political solidarity and socio-economic development while sharing similar viewpoints on regional and international issues. Indeed, Kenya and Nigeria hold strategic political and economic positions in their respective regions, which I already alluded to. Both countries are well endowed with human and natural resources that need to be harnessed through partnership to uplift the standard of living of their people and to create employment and reduce poverty. It will interest you to note that Nigeria and Kenya have established a strategic partnership